The medical bay of the research vessel Horizon's Edge hummed with the usual sounds of diagnostic equipment. Dr. Megan Porter stood beside the scanning unit, reviewing the morning's schedule. 23 crew members needed their genetic scans before the ship could enter the Kepler 442 system. Standard procedure, nothing unusual. Next, Megan called out, not looking up from her tablet. Lieutenant Sophie Grant walked into the bay, still wearing her flight suit from the morning patrol. She was a fighter pilot, known for her steady hands and calm demeanor. Nothing about her seemed remarkable. She had brown hair pulled back in a regulation bun, average height, average build, the kind of person who blended into any crowd. Just another scan, Sophie said, climbing onto the examination platform. How many more of these do we have to do? Until I'm satisfied you're all healthy enough to explore a new planet, Megan replied with a slight smile. Lie back and stay still. This will take about 2 minutes. Sophie settled onto the platform as the scanning array descended over her body. Blue light washed across her skin, reading every cell, every strand of DNA, every potential medical issue that might cause problems in the weeks ahead. The scanner beeped. Then it beeped again, faster this time. The screen filled with data that made no sense. Megan frowned and tapped the display. That's weird. The system must be glitching. What's wrong? Sophie asked, starting to sit up. Stay still. Let me run it again. The second scan produced the same results. Then the third. Megan's frown deepened into genuine concern. She called up the raw genetic data and felt her stomach drop. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be real. Megan? Sophie's voice carried a note of worry now. What's happening? Before Megan could answer, the scanner's AI system activated. A synthesized voice filled the medical bay, calm and utterly emotionless. Subject contains 12 dormant genetic markers. Origin extinct predator species. DNA recombination protocols detected. Awaiting activation command. Sophie sat up quickly. What does that mean? The AI continued, ignoring her question. Which one shall awaken? Megan slapped the emergency communication button on her console. Captain Hayes, you need to come to medical bay immediately. We have a situation. Within minutes, the small medical bay was crowded. Captain Derek Hayes stood beside the scanner, his weathered face lined with confusion. Beside him, Dr. Nathan Cole, the ship's chief science officer, scrolled through the genetic data on his handheld device. Security Officer Lucas Kim stood by the door, hand resting on his weapon out of pure habit. Explain this to me again, Derek said, his voice tight with control. Slowly. Nathan looked up from his device, his expression somewhere between fascination and horror. Lieutenant Grant's DNA contains genetic sequences that shouldn't exist. Not in a human. Not in anything currently alive on Earth. What kind of sequences? Derek asked. Predators. Extinct predators from Earth's prehistoric past. Nathan pulled up images on the wall screen. Saber-toothed cats. Direwolves. Terror birds. Cave lions. 12 different species. All apex predators from different time periods. And they're not just fragments or traces. These are complete viable genetic templates. Sophie stared at the screen, her face pale. How is that even possible? It's not, Megan said flatly. DNA degrades. We can't reconstruct complete genetic sequences from fossils. We can barely get fragments. What you're carrying. It's like someone had living samples and wrote them directly into your genetic code. Someone did, Nathan said quietly. He brought up another screen showing complex mathematical patterns woven through the genetic data. These sequences are locked behind artificial safeguards. This isn't natural evolution. This is genetic engineering. Very sophisticated genetic engineering. Derek crossed his arms. Are you telling me someone turned my pilot into a weapon? Not turned, prepared. Nathan zoomed in on one of the safeguards. These templates are dormant. They've probably been dormant her entire life. They're waiting for something. A trigger. An activation command. Which one shall awaken? Sophie repeated the scanner's question. That's what it asked. Like it expected someone to choose. Lucas spoke up from his position by the door. Captain, with respect, we need to quarantine Lieutenant Grant until we understand what we're dealing with. Sophie's head snapped toward him. I'm not dangerous. I feel completely normal. You have the DNA of 12 extinct killing machines inside you, Lucas said, not unkindly. Normal isn't really the word I'd use. He's right, Derek said. Sophie, I'm sorry, but until we know more, you're confined to medical bay. Megan, Nathan, you're both assigned to figure out what we're dealing with. I want answers. Captain, Megan interrupted, pointing at another screen. There's something else. The scanner detected unusual brain activity during the scan. Sophie, have you experienced anything strange lately? Headaches? Mood changes? Anything unusual? Sophie hesitated. Dreams, bad dreams. I've been having them for about 3 weeks. What kind of dreams? Nathan asked, suddenly very interested. Hunting dreams. Sophie's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. I'm running through forests I've never seen. Chasing things. Catching them. Killing them with my teeth and claws. And the worst part is, in the dreams it feels right. It feels natural. The medical bay fell silent except for the soft beeping of equipment. The templates are activating on their own, Nathan said. Slowly, but they're waking up. The dreams are probably breakthrough fragments. Her subconscious is processing prehistoric instincts and hunting patterns. Derek's jaw tightened. How long before they fully activate? I have no idea. Days, weeks? It could be gradual or it could happen all at once. A sharp alarm cut through the conversation. The ship's communication officer appeared on Derek's wrist display, her face urgent. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the planet below. It's the human colony, New Haven. They're under attack. Derek swore under his breath. What kind of attack? Unknown hostiles. The signal is breaking up. But Captain, they're asking for immediate military assistance. They say people are being hunted. The word hunted seemed to echo in the medical bay. Everyone looked at Sophie. She stood up from the examination table, her jaw set. You're thinking this has something to do with me? With what's in my DNA? I'm thinking, Derek said carefully, that we've just discovered you carry 12 predator templates, and now there's a colony below being hunted by unknown attackers. I don't believe in coincidences. Nathan pulled up a star chart showing their position. Captain, New Haven is the only human settlement in this system. There are 3,000 colonists with minimal defenses. If they're under serious attack, they won't last long. We have to help them, Sophie said. We have to understand what we're dealing with first. Lucas countered. Derek made his decision. We do both. Prepare an away team. Full combat loadout. Nathan, Megan, you're coming with us. We need science on the ground. Sophie. Sir, I'm the best pilot you have. You're also potentially dangerous. Then keep me where you can see me, Sophie said. But don't leave me behind. Whatever's happening down there, I think it's connected to what's inside me. Maybe I can help? Derek studied her for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. You're confined to the away team. You don't leave anyone's sight. The moment something seems wrong, we pull you back to the ship. Understood? Understood. As the crew dispersed to prepare, Nathan pulled Sophie aside. His expression was troubled. The scanner asked which one shall awaken, he said quietly, like it expected someone to make a choice. But you didn't choose anything, and the templates are still activating on their own. That suggests either the safeguards are failing, or something is triggering them remotely. What does that mean? Sophie asked. It means someone, somewhere might be watching you, waiting to see what happens when a human carries all 12 templates at once. Sophie looked down at her hands. They looked the same as always. But inside her cells, ancient predators were stirring, waiting for their moment to wake. Which one shall awaken? She whispered to herself. And deep in her DNA, something answered with the memory of fangs and claws and the thrill of the hunt. The shuttle descended through thick clouds, turbulence rattling the hull. Sophie sat strapped into her seat, watching the planet's surface appear through breaks in the gray atmosphere. New Haven should have been lit up like a jewel in the darkness. Instead, only a few scattered fires marked where the colony stood. Communications are still down, the pilot reported. No response to any frequency. Captain Derek Hayes stood behind the pilot's seat, gripping a handrail as the shuttle bounced through another pocket of rough air. Take us down at the eastern landing pad. That's furthest from the colony center. If there are hostiles, I want distance between us and them. Beside Sophie, Nathan Cole checked his scanning equipment for the third time. His hand shook slightly. He was a scientist, not a soldier. Megan Porter sat across from them, her medical kit clutched on her lap. Lucas Kim and 3 other security officers checked their weapons with practiced efficiency. Sophie felt strange. Her senses seemed sharper than usual. She could smell the gun oil from Lucas's weapon. She could hear heartbeats over the shuttle's engine noise. When Derek shifted his weight, she knew it before he moved, reading micro-expressions in his posture. The templates were waking up. She could feel them now, not just in dreams but in her waking thoughts. Instincts that weren't hers whispered in the back of her mind. The shuttle touched down with a heavy thud. The rear hatch opened, flooding the interior with cold air that smelled of smoke and something else. Something metallic, blood. Stay tight, Lucas ordered. Standard sweep formation. Science team in the middle. Lieutenant Grant, you're with me where I can see you. They moved through the landing pad in careful formation. Empty cargo containers sat abandoned. Ground vehicles were parked haphazardly, some with doors still open. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just eerie silence broken only by distant wind and the crackle of burning buildings. This doesn't make sense, one of the security officers whispered. Where is everyone? They found the first body 3 blocks into the colony, then another, then 6 more in a cluster near what had been a market square. Megan knelt beside one, her face pale in the firelight. These wounds. Nothing natural caused these. Look at the claw marks. The bite radius. Whatever attacked these people was massive. Nathan scanned one of the bodies with his handheld device. No animal DNA, no foreign tissue samples. The attacker didn't leave any biological traces. How is that possible? Derek demanded. Sophie walked around the bodies, her enhanced senses drinking in details. She could smell different scents on each victim. Fear, adrenaline, and something else, something familiar that she couldn't quite identify. She crouched beside the deepest claw marks, her fingers hovering over the torn metal of a wall panel. These weren't made by claws, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. What do you mean? Lucas asked. The spacing is wrong for an animal. Too precise, too controlled. She stood, following the marks with her eyes. Whatever made these knew exactly where to strike. This was calculated, methodical. A sound echoed through the empty streets. Footsteps, running footsteps, weapons up. Lucas commanded. A figure burst from between 2 buildings. A woman covered in dirt and blood, her eyes wide with terror. She stumbled and nearly fell. Lucas caught her. Please, the woman gasped. Please, you have to help them. They're still in the bunker. The hunters are coming back. Slow down, Derek said, his voice calm and commanding. Who are you? Victoria Lane, colony administrator. She grabbed Derek's arm. We have 37 survivors in the emergency bunker beneath the community center. But they know we're there. They're playing with us, letting us think we're safe before they come back. Who are they? Megan asked, already checking Victoria for injuries. The hunters. Victoria's voice dropped to a horrified whisper. They look human. They talk like humans. But they're not. They're monsters. They tore through our defenses like paper. They're faster, stronger, and they're enjoying it. This isn't war. It's sport to them. Nathan and Derek exchanged looks. Sophie felt ice in her stomach. Take us to the bunker, Derek ordered. Now. They moved quickly through the ruined colony, Victoria leading them through back alleys and around collapsed structures. Sophie's senses screamed warnings at every shadow. She could feel eyes watching them. Multiple sets of eyes tracking their movement. We're being followed, she said. Lucas didn't question her. How many? At least 4? Maybe more. They're staying just outside visual range. You can sense them? Nathan asked, fascinated despite the danger. Sophie nodded. I don't know how, but yes. They're moving with us, keeping parallel to our position. The bunker entrance was hidden beneath a collapsed wall. Victoria pulled aside debris to reveal a heavy metal door. She pounded on it in a specific rhythm. After a moment, locks disengaged and the door opened a crack. They hurried inside. The bunker was cramped and hot, packed with terrified colonists. Children cried. Adults whispered prayers. The smell of fear was overwhelming. Victoria sealed the door behind them. We've been here for 16 hours. They attacked at dawn yesterday. Came out of nowhere. No warning, no demands, just killing. Derek pulled her aside. Tell me exactly what attacked you. Soldiers. Enhanced soldiers. They moved like animals but fought with military precision. One of them, the leader, he told us they were from something called the Apex Protocol. Said they were the future of humanity. Then he started hunting us. Sophie felt the blood drain from her face. Nathan grabbed her arm. The Apex Protocol, he breathed. Sophie, do you know what this means? It means I'm not unique, Sophie said. There are others, and they've already gone through the transformation. A heavy impact shook the bunker door. Then another. Something was testing the entrance, probing for weaknesses. They're here, Victoria whispered. Lucas positioned his team at the door. We can hold them off, another impact harder this time. The door buckled slightly. Sophie felt something shift inside her. The cave lion template, the one Nathan had identified as most stable, pushed against the genetic safeguards. Her body responded, muscles tensing, senses sharpening even further. She could smell the attackers now through the sealed door. She could hear their heartbeats, slow and calm. They weren't afraid. They were confident. We can't hold them, Sophie said. They're too strong. Nathan pulled out his scanning device, his fingers flying over the controls. Sophie, I can trigger one of the templates. The cave lion sequence. It's the most stable. But once I start the process, there's no stopping it. You'll transform. What does that mean? Derek demanded. Transform how? Her body will rewrite itself to express the cave lion genetic template. Enhanced strength, speed, senses, predatory instincts. She'll become what those soldiers outside already are. Sophie looked at the terrified faces around her, children hiding behind their parents, people who had already lost everything. The door buckled again, metal screaming. How long will it take? She asked Nathan. The transformation? Maybe 5 minutes, but you'll be conscious through all of it. Will I still be me? Nathan hesitated. I don't know, another impact. The door's hinges began to tear from the wall. Lucas met Sophie's eyes. It's your choice. No one can make it for you. Sophie thought about the dreams, the hunting dreams where she chased and killed without hesitation. She thought about becoming something other than human, something designed to kill. She thought about losing herself to ancient instincts. Then she looked at a little girl clutching her mother's hand, eyes wide with terror. Do it, Sophie said. Nathan pulled a syringe from his medical kit. This will trigger the release sequence. Once it starts, find somewhere to brace yourself. The pain will be intense. Sophie rolled up her sleeve. I'm ready. The injection burned going in. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Sophie felt it. Deep in her cells, genetic locks opened. DNA began rewriting itself. The cave lion template flooded through her system. She dropped to her knees as agony tore through her body. Her muscles spasmed, bones shifted, neural pathways exploded with new connections. She could feel her skeleton reinforcing itself, her muscle fibers multiplying and densifying. Her senses expanded until she could hear every heartbeat in the bunker, smell every person's unique chemical signature, feel vibrations through the floor from footsteps 100 meters away. But worse than the physical changes were the instincts. Ancient hunting patterns flooded her mind. She knew how to track prey by scent, how to coordinate with a pride, how to kill with maximum efficiency. 10,000 years of predatory knowledge burned itself into her consciousness. Through the pain, she heard the door finally give way. Heard Lucas and his team opening fire, heard screams, and beneath it all she heard the leader of the enhanced soldiers speak, his voice calm and amused. Well, looks like another candidate has awakened. This just got interesting. Sophie forced herself to her feet. Her body still burned with transformation, but the cave lion instincts were taking hold. She could feel the enemy soldiers, could sense their positions, their movements, their intentions. She looked at her hands. They were still human, but stronger now, faster. Claws hadn't emerged, fangs hadn't grown. The transformation was internal, genetic, not physical monstrosity. She was still Sophie Grant, but now she was also something more. The security team was losing ground. One officer went down with a scream. Lucas fired desperately at Shapes. Sophie sat on the floor of the bunker, her back against the cold wall, trying to understand what she had become. Her hands looked the same, but they weren't. She could feel the strength in them, the potential for violence. Every sound reached her ears with crystal clarity. She could smell individual people across the crowded bunker, identify them by scent alone. The cave lion template had fully awakened, and she was no longer entirely human. Nathan crouched beside her, scanner in hand. Your vital signs are stable. Heart rate, blood pressure, all within acceptable ranges, just elevated. I can hear your watch ticking, Sophie said quietly. From 10 feet away, I can smell the coffee you drank 6 hours ago. I can feel vibrations in the floor from people walking on the surface. She looked at him. Is this permanent? I think so. The genetic changes are fundamental. You can't undo rewritten DNA. Across the bunker, Captain Derek helped Lucas organize the survivors. Victoria was distributing water and ration bars, trying to keep people calm. But everyone kept glancing at Sophie, fear and curiosity mixing in their expressions. She had saved them, but now they were afraid of her. Megan approached with a medical kit. "Let me check you over properly." As Megan worked, Sophie closed her eyes and tried to sort through the storm of instincts flooding her mind. The cave lion template came with memories that weren't hers, hunting strategies from 10,000 years ago, pack dynamics, territory markers, the feel of prey beneath her teeth. No, not prey. People. She pushed the instincts down, forcing human thoughts to dominate. She was Sophie Grant, fighter pilot, human being. The cave lion was a tool, nothing more, but the whispers in her mind suggested otherwise. Sophie. Derek's voice pulled her back. He knelt in front of her, his expression serious. "What happened? Out there? How did you coordinate with Lucas's team? None of you spoke, but you moved like you'd trained together for years." "Pack instincts," Sophie explained. "The cave lion template includes social hunting behaviors. I could sense their positions, predict their movements. It just happened." "Can you control it?" "I think so. But Derek, there's something else. I could sense the enhanced soldiers. Feel them. I know what templates they're carrying. Sullivan, their leader, has the saber-tooth template. The others are direwolf, short-faced bear, and terror bird." Nathan's eyes widened. "You can identify their genetic templates by proximity?" "It's like I can smell them, or sense them. I don't have words for it." Victoria joined them, her face troubled. "We found something while you were unconscious. A datapad in the colony administrator's office. It's encrypted, but the header shows it came from an organization called the Apex Protocol." She handed it to Nathan. "Can you decrypt it?" Nathan connected the pad to his scanner. After several minutes, files began appearing on the display. His face grew pale as he read. "Oh no. Oh, this is bad." "What?" Derek demanded. Nathan turned the screen so they could all see. The Apex Protocol isn't just some rogue military program. It's been running for 50 years, funded by a shadow council of Earth's most powerful corporations and government officials. He scrolled through files. They've been identifying genetic candidates across human space. People with specific DNA markers that can accept the Predator templates. "How many candidates?" Sophie asked. 300. But most can only accept 1 or 2 templates. The integration is unstable otherwise. Nathan looked at Sophie. "You're designated Subject 0. You're the only candidate who can carry all 12 templates in stable configuration." "Why?" Victoria asked. "What makes her special?" "I don't know. The files don't say. But the protocol has been watching her for years, waiting for the right moment to trigger the awakening." Sophie felt sick. The distress signal, the attack on the colony, this was all staged to force my transformation. "It appears so," Nathan said grimly. "Sullivan's team was sent here specifically to create a crisis situation that would require you to awaken the first template. They wanted to see if you could handle the transformation." Derek swore. "So this entire colony was sacrificed as a test?" "Not sacrificed. Collateral." Nathan pulled up more files. "The protocol sees it as acceptable losses in service of a greater goal. They're trying to create a new species of human. Enhanced soldiers who can survive hostile alien worlds and dominate any threat. Sophie represents the next generation." "I'm not anyone's weapon," Sophie said, anger cutting through the confusion. "You might not have a choice." Nathan found another file. "There are coordinates here, a research facility on this planet's far continent. It's where they conducted the original Apex Protocol experiments." He looked at Derek. "If we can reach it, we might find a way to reverse the transformations, or at least understand them better." A sound from outside the bunker made everyone freeze. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving with predatory grace. Sophie's enhanced senses kicked in. "They're back, 6 of them this time. They're surrounding the bunker." Lucas and his remaining security team took positions at the damaged entrance. "How long until they attack?" "They're not attacking," Sophie said, concentrating on the movements above. They're just watching, waiting. A voice called down through the broken door, amplified and clear. Sullivan's voice. Subject 0. I know you can hear me. Your new senses are quite impressive, aren't they? A pause. We're not here to fight. I'm here to talk, to offer you a choice. Derek put a hand on Sophie's shoulder. Don't respond. But Sullivan continued. You've awakened the cave lion template. You're feeling the changes, the new instincts, the power. But that's just the beginning. You have 11 more templates waiting. Imagine what you could become. What we could become together. What does he want? Victoria whispered. Join us, Sullivan called. Help us build humanity's future. The Apex Protocol isn't about conquest. It's about survival. We're spreading across the galaxy, meeting species that might be hostile. We need to be able to compete, to dominate. The enhanced are humanity's next step in evolution. Sophie felt something stir in her chest. Part of her, the part that was now Cave Lion, responded to Sullivan's words. The call to join a stronger pride, to embrace the predator fully. She pushed it down. And if I refuse? Then everyone in that bunker dies. My team and I will tear through your defenses in minutes. You might take one of us down, but you can't stop all 6. Not yet. Silence filled the bunker. Colonists held their breath. Children pressed against their parents. However, Sullivan continued, I'm not here to force you. I'm here to educate you, to show you what you're capable of. So, I'll make this simple. I'm leaving a data stick outside the bunker door. It contains information about the facility Nathan just found. If you want to learn the truth about what you are, go there. We won't stop you. In fact, we'll watch with great interest to see what you discover. Why would you help us? Derek shouted. Because Subject 0 needs to understand what she's become, what she can become. And that facility holds all the answers. Sullivan's voice grew quieter. You're not a mistake, Sophie Grant. You're a masterpiece. The culmination of 50 years of work. We want you to see that. To embrace it. Footsteps retreated. Sophie tracked them with her enhanced hearing until they vanished into the distance. After several tense minutes, Lucas ventured outside and returned with a small data stick. He handed it to Nathan. It's clean. No viruses or tracking devices, just data files. Nathan plugged it into his scanner. His expression shifted from suspicion to shock. This is everything. Complete files on the Apex Protocol, the original experiments, the genetic engineering techniques, the facility location, even security codes to access the research station. It's a trap, Lucas said flatly. Of course it's a trap, Derek agreed, but it might also be our only chance to understand what we're dealing with. Victoria stood. That facility is 3 days' travel across hostile terrain, volcanic fields, dense jungle, mountain ranges, and Sullivan's team will be tracking us the entire way. Let them track us, Sophie said, surprised by the confidence in her own voice. I need to know what I am, what I'm becoming, and if that facility has answers, I'm going. Nathan studied the data files. According to these records, the facility has genetic modification equipment. If we can access it, we might be able to reverse the transformation, or at least control it better. Or trigger more transformations, Megan pointed out. This could be exactly what Sullivan wants. Derek looked around the bunker at the exhausted, terrified survivors. We can't stay here. The colony is destroyed. We need to get these people back to the ship. He turned to Sophie. You and I both know you're not going to let this go. So here's what we'll do. Lucas takes the survivors back to the horizon's edge. You, me, Nathan, Megan, and 2 volunteers will make for the facility. I'm going, Victoria said immediately. My brother was part of the original Apex Protocol experiments. He didn't survive. If there's information about what happened to him, I need to see it. One of Lucas's security officers, a young woman named Kelly Price, stepped forward. I'll go too. Someone needs to watch your backs. Derek nodded. Lucas, get everyone else to the ship. Send a message to Earth Command explaining the situation. Request backup, medical support, and a containment team. And if Earth Command decides Sophie is too dangerous? Lucas asked quietly. Then we'll deal with that when it happens. Derek's voice was firm. Right. The volcanic plains stretched endlessly under a gray sky. Black rock and ash covered the ground, broken by steaming vents that hissed sulfur into the air. Sophie led the group carefully around the active geothermal features, her enhanced senses detecting heat patterns invisible to normal human eyes. 3 days of travel had taught her new things about her transformation. She needed less sleep now. Her body processed food more efficiently, and the cave lion instincts had integrated deeper into her consciousness, no longer feeling foreign but part of her natural thought process. But that integration worried her. Where did Sophie Grant end and the cave lion begin? Rest break, Captain Derek called, his voice tired. He wasn't transformed, wasn't enhanced, and the journey was taking its toll. They gathered in the shadow of a large rock formation. Nathan immediately pulled out his scanner, checking the route ahead. Megan distributed water and protein bars. Kelly Price kept watch, her weapon ready. Victoria sat heavily beside Sophie. How far are we from the facility? About 40 kilometers, Nathan answered. But we have to cross jungle terrain next. The volcanic plains are ending. Good, Kelly muttered. This heat is killing me. Sophie said nothing. She was monitoring the environment with senses the others didn't have. Sullivan's team had been following them since they left the colony, staying just out of visual range. 6 enhanced soldiers moving with predatory patience. They were being herded. Sophie knew it but couldn't prove it. Every time their group changed direction, the hunters adjusted, subtly forcing them toward a specific path. We're being played with, she said finally. Derek looked up sharply. You can sense them? Always. They're about 2 kilometers behind us, spread out in a wide arc. They've been there since the first day. Why haven't they attacked? Kelly asked. Because they're waiting to see what happens next. Sophie turned to Nathan. You said different environments favor different predator templates. What did you mean? Nathan pulled up his notes. The genetic templates evolved for specific hunting environments. Cave lions were ambush predators in open plains. Direwolves hunted in packs across varied terrain. Terror birds were built for speed in grasslands. Each template has strengths and weaknesses depending on the environment. And in jungle? Sophie asked. Multiple templates would be effective, but the most dangerous in dense vegetation would probably be the megalania, the giant monitor lizard. Ambush predator, incredibly strong venomous bite, built for hot, humid environments. Sophie filed that information away. If Sullivan's team planned to attack, it would be in the jungle. They'd have environmental advantage. We should move, Derek said, standing. The faster we reach the facility, the less time they have to plan whatever they're planning. They descended from the volcanic plains into humid jungle. The temperature jumped 20 degrees within an hour. Thick vegetation pressed in from all sides. Visibility dropped to less than 10 meters. Sophie's senses shifted automatically, adapting to the new environment. She could no longer see as far, but her hearing and smell compensated. She tracked the team through chemical signatures and sound patterns. Behind them, Sullivan's hunters closed the distance. 2 kilometers became 1. 1 became half. They're coming, Sophie warned. Kelly raised her weapon. How long? Minutes. Derek made a quick decision. Defensive position. That rocky outcrop ahead. Nathan, Megan, center. Everyone else forms a perimeter. They scrambled to the position, a cluster of moss-covered boulders that provided some cover. Sophie took point, her body tense with anticipation. The cave lion instincts were screaming warnings now. Prey drive triggering in reverse as she became the hunted instead of the hunter. 3 figures emerged from the jungle. Enhanced soldiers moving with inhuman grace. Sophie recognized their templates immediately through some sense she couldn't name. Dire wolf, short-faced bear, terror bird. The terror bird soldier moved fastest, covering ground with long strides and sudden bursts of speed. Kelly opened fire. The bullet struck but barely slowed the enhanced soldier down. He was on her in seconds. Sophie reacted without thinking. The cave lion template flooded her muscles with chemical strength. She intercepted the terror bird soldier mid-strike, redirecting his momentum into a boulder with a crack of breaking stone. He rolled away, laughing. Subject 0 has claws, good. The fight became chaos. The dire wolf soldier coordinated with 2 others Sophie hadn't seen, trying to separate Derek and Kelly from the main group. The bear template soldier, massive and powerful, charged straight at their position. Sophie fought on instinct and training. human tactics enhanced by predatory awareness. She could read her opponent's body language, predict movements before they happened, sense intent through micro-expressions and pheromone signals. But she was 1 against 3, and they had more experience with their transformations. A powerful hit sent her sprawling. The terror bird soldier stood over her, his eyes cold. "You're holding back, Subject Zero. You're afraid to let the predator out." Sophie swept his legs, rolled away. "I'm human. You're a weapon trying to pretend it's still a person." He attacked again, faster now. Sophie felt something shift inside her. The cave lion template wasn't enough. She was losing. And if she lost, Derek and the others would die. Deep in her DNA, another template stirred. The terror bird. Speed and striking power. Built for exactly this environment and this fight. No, she couldn't. One transformation had already changed her fundamentally. Another might erase Sophie Grant completely. Kelly screamed. The bear soldier had broken through, was advancing on Nathan and Megan. Sophie felt the genetic lock straining. The terror bird template was trying to awaken on its own, triggered by extreme stress and survival instinct. "Nathan," she shouted. "The terror bird template." "It's trying to activate." Nathan's face went pale. "Fight it. You can't control 2 templates at once." But Sophie couldn't fight it. Her body knew what it needed to survive. The genetic safeguards released. The second transformation hit like lightning. Where the cave lion had been a gradual awakening, the terror bird was explosive. Her leg muscles restructured in seconds, bones reinforcing, nervous system rewiring for impossible speed. The pain was incredible. Sophie heard herself scream. Then the terror bird instincts crashed into her consciousness, colliding with the cave lion template. 2 apex predators, 2 different hunting strategies trying to occupy the same mind. She should have been torn apart by the conflict. The templates should have fought each other for dominance, destroying her sanity in the process. But they didn't. Instead, they merged. The cave lion's pack awareness combined with the terror bird's individual striking power. Strategic thinking merged with explosive speed. 2 predators becoming something new, something unified. Sophie stood, and the enhanced soldiers backed away, surprised. She wasn't just faster now. She was faster and smarter. The terror bird speed combined with cave lion tactical awareness meant she could predict and counter movements before they happened. The fight turned. Sophie moved like water, like lightning, like nothing the enhanced soldiers had seen before. She wasn't fighting as a cave lion or a terror bird. She was fighting as both, and the combination was devastating. The terror bird soldier went down hard. The dire wolf soldier retreated. The bear soldier stopped advancing, reassessing the threat. Then Sullivan himself stepped from the jungle, slow clapping. Magnificent. 2 templates active simultaneously and you're still conscious, still rational. Subject Zero truly is special. "Call off your soldiers," Derek demanded, weapon aimed at Sullivan. Sullivan ignored him, his attention fixed on Sophie. "You're integrating the templates. Not just using them, but merging them, creating something new," he smiled. "Do you understand what this means? You're not just carrying 12 predator templates. You're synthesizing them into something unprecedented." Sophie felt the truth of his words. The cave lion and terror bird weren't separate anymore. They were becoming part of a larger whole, a composite predator that combined strengths and minimized weaknesses. "The facility," Sullivan continued, "will show you what you really are. Why you were chosen, why you can do what others can't." He gestured to his team. "We're withdrawing. For now, consider this a test. You passed. The jungle is yours." They melted back into the vegetation. Sophie tracked them with her hybrid senses until they were beyond range. Derek lowered his weapon slowly. "What just happened?" "Evolution," Nathan breathed, his scanner recording everything. Sophie didn't choose between templates. She combined them. Her DNA isn't just carrying multiple predator sequences. It's synthesizing them into a single unified form. Victoria stared at Sophie. "My brother couldn't do that. The first-generation subjects, they could only activate 1 template. It drove most of them insane. The conflict between human and animal destroyed their minds." "I'm different," Sophie said quietly. She could still feel both templates, but they weren't fighting. They were cooperating, sharing her consciousness like instruments in an orchestra. "The templates aren't separate personalities. They're tools, capabilities. I'm still me, just more." Megan approached cautiously with her medical scanner. Your vital signs are extremely elevated but stable. Your neural activity is off the charts. Sophie, you're processing information at maybe 3 times normal human speed. The research facility was built into the mountain itself, hidden beneath layers of rock and camouflage technology. Only Nathan's scanner could detect the entrance, a massive door sealed with locks that hadn't been opened in years. Sophie pressed her hand against the security panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the system recognized something in her DNA and the locks disengaged with heavy metallic clanks. It knew you, Derek said quietly. The facility recognized you. They entered a long corridor lit by emergency lighting. The air smelled stale and old. Their footsteps echoed off metal walls covered in dust. Victoria led them deeper, following signs to the main research level. They passed dormitories, mess halls, training rooms, all abandoned, all silent. This place is huge, Kelly whispered. How many people worked here? Nathan consulted his scanner. According to the files, the facility housed 200 researchers and 50 test subjects at peak operation. That was 30 years ago, before the program was supposedly shut down. They found the first body in a laboratory, skeletal remains in a lab coat, slumped over a computer terminal. The screen was still active, frozen on a warning message. Template integration failure. Subject 7 experiencing catastrophic neural degradation. Termination protocols authorized. More bodies appeared as they ventured deeper, some in labs, some in corridors, some behind sealed doors with claw marks scored deep into the metal from the inside. They lost control, Megan said, her voice hollow. The subjects transformed and couldn't maintain human consciousness. They became animals trapped in human facilities. Victoria stopped at a door marked Subject Testing Bay 3. She touched it gently. My brother was Subject 12. He was stationed here. They told me he died in an accident, that it was quick and painless. She turned to face them, tears in her eyes. They lied. Sophie put a hand on Victoria's shoulder. I'm sorry. They moved on until they reached the central research chamber. Banks of computers lined the walls, most still active, drawing power from the geothermal reactor buried deeper in the mountain. In the center stood a genetic modification chamber, a massive cylinder filled with clear fluid and wired with hundreds of sensors. Nathan immediately went to the computers, his fingers flying over keyboards. This is it. The complete Apex Protocol database. Every experiment, every subject, every failure and success. He pulled up files, images appearing on multiple screens. Sophie saw pictures of test subjects in various stages of transformation. Some looked almost normal. Others were nightmares, bodies twisted by genetic changes they couldn't control. The first generation was a disaster, Nathan explained, reading quickly. They tried single template integration. Out of 50 subjects, only 12 survived the transformation. And of those 12, only 3 maintained human consciousness for more than a week. What happened to the others? Derek asked. They devolved. Became purely predatory, attacked anything that moved, including each other and the researchers. Nathan pulled up video footage of a test chamber. A subject transformed with the dire wolf template circled the room on all fours, snarling, all human recognition gone from its eyes. They had to terminate most of them. Sophie felt sick watching the footage. That could have been her. Could still be her if she lost control. The second generation tried combining templates, Nathan continued. The theory was that multiple predator instincts might balance each other out, prevent complete devolution. More files appeared. It was worse. The subjects couldn't integrate conflicting predator behaviors. Their minds fractured. They became psychotic. Then why am I different? Sophie demanded. I have 2 templates active and I'm still me. Nathan brought up a new file. Subject 0. Sophie's own face looked back at her from a photograph taken when she was 6 years old. You were chosen before you were born, Nathan said softly. The Apex Protocol identified your genetic markers in population screening. Your DNA has a unique mutation, something they call a synthesis sequence. It allows your consciousness to merge multiple predator templates without conflict. How rare is this mutation? Derek asked. You're the only one. Out of 8 billion humans tested over 50 years, Sophie Grant is the only person who can integrate all 12 templates and remain functional. The room fell silent. Sophie stared at her childhood photo, at the innocent girl who had no idea she was being watched, studied, prepared for transformation. They've been tracking you your entire life, Victoria said. Every medical check, every DNA test, every school physical. They were monitoring you, waiting for the right moment. The moment I entered unknown space, and Sophie realized, far from Earth authority, far from witnesses, where they could force the awakening and see what happened. The Apex protocol was never shut down, Nathan said, bringing up more files. It went underground, funded by a shadow council of corporate and government officials. They see enhanced humans as the next step in evolution, the key to humanity dominating the galaxy. Derek crossed his arms. And they're willing to sacrifice entire colonies to test their weapon. Subject Zero isn't a weapon to them, Nathan corrected. She's a prototype. The proof of concept. If Sophie can successfully integrate all 12 templates, they can refine the synthesis sequence and create more like her. An entire generation of enhanced humans. Sophie walked to the genetic modification chamber. Her reflection stared back at her from the curved glass. She looked the same on the outside, but inside 2 predator templates had already merged with her human consciousness. 10 more waited. Can this chamber reverse the transformation? She asked. Nathan checked the computer systems. It has reversal protocols. But Sophie, they're designed for single template reversals. I don't know if they'll work on your integrated templates. And if they do work, reversing 2 templates simultaneously might kill you. But it's possible? Theoretically. Sophie touched the glass. She could go back. Return to being fully human. Give up the strength, the speed, the predatory awareness that had saved her life and the lives of others. Or she could move forward. Embrace what she was becoming. Integrate the remaining templates and become something unprecedented. We need to decide what to do, Derek said. We can destroy this facility and all its data. Make sure the Apex protocol dies here. Or we can try to use this technology to help people, to create controlled enhancements. The technology will never stay controlled, Victoria said bitterly. Someone will always weaponize it, always exploit it. An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Red emergency lights activated. Security breach, Nathan said, checking displays. Multiple contacts entering the facility. Sullivan's team. Kelly readied her weapon. How many? 6 enhanced soldiers plus Sullivan. They're heading straight for this chamber. They had minutes at best. Derek quickly assessed their options. We can't fight 7 enhanced soldiers, not here. Not with our limited resources. Then we run, Kelly suggested. There's no escape route, Nathan said, pulling up facility maps. This chamber is at the center of a maze. They'll catch us before we reach the exit. Sophie stared at the genetic modification chamber. An idea formed, dangerous and desperate. What if I don't run? She said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. The templates are trying to awaken on their own. The terror bird activated during combat stress. The others are probably the same, just waiting for the right trigger. Sophie met Nathan's eyes. What if I trigger them all at once? Use this chamber to control the awakening instead of letting it happen randomly. That's insane, Megan said immediately. Sophie, 1 transformation was agonizing. 2 nearly killed you. 12 simultaneously would be possible, Nathan interrupted, his mind already working through the problem. Your synthesis sequence is designed to integrate multiple templates. If we use the chamber to regulate the awakening, provide chemical and genetic support, you might survive. Might, Derek said sharply. The alternative is Sullivan captures us, kills everyone else, and takes Sophie anyway. Nathan pulled up the chamber's control systems. At least this way she has a chance. And if she succeeds, if she integrates all 12 templates, she'll be powerful enough to stop Sullivan's team. Or she'll become a monster like the first-generation subjects, Victoria countered. Sophie walked to the chamber door. I'm already changing. The templates are waking up whether I want them to or not. In the jungle, the terror bird activated on its own. How long before another one does the same? And another? Each time increasing the risk of losing control. She looked at each of them in turn. At least this way I can try to control the process. And if you lose yourself? Derek asked. If the predator instincts overwhelm your human consciousness? Sophie smiled sadly. Then you destroy the chamber with me inside it. Don't let me become a monster. The alarm continued to blare. Sullivan's team was close now. Sophie could sense them approaching, their predatory signatures clear even through walls of rock. Nathan opened the chamber. Fluid drained out, replaced by breathable atmosphere. Once you're inside, I'll initiate the full awakening sequence. It will take approximately 5 minutes. The pain will be extreme. You'll have to maintain conscious control through the entire process. I understand. Sophie, Derek said, his voice rough with emotion. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. There is no other way. Sophie stepped into the chamber.